Hey, what's up guys, Riv here. So over the past month, I have said this many times, but it's simply the truth. Every time there is a major event in the world these days, the reaction to it trickles down into places we normally talk about on this channel, like the gaming industry and content creators, and that's happening again with a recent shooting, where now gaming is being nefariously pulled into the situation, and also content creators like Hasan are having very bizarre reactions to what's going on with that situation, also things stemming from it. Now, as you can see here, this article is one of many, trying to tie a recent shooting to violent video games. We have seen this argument over and over again for decades, and I swear it gets more and more pathetic each time it happens. Now, what is the context? Well, recently a sniper opened fire at a Dallas ICE facility, and in his own notes, he wanted to stoke fear across all ICE agents, and this 29-year-old sniper, whose name I believe is pronounced Stupid Idiots, he saw a unmarked van enter the facility, and he believed in his mind it was filled with ICE agents. The reality, though, was that it was filled with detainees. So in this guy's pursuit of punishing ICE agents, he opened fire on a van and ended up killing a bunch of, one migrant. He killed one migrant and wounded two others and hit absolutely zero ICE agents. And I guess either part of his plan or coming upon the realization of his failure, he then took the rifle, turned it on himself, and rearranged his skull, so to speak. And that was that. And there's been a lot of discussion and questions from people like Hasan Piker, who's like, we'll never know the reason this guy did it. We don't know anything about his politics or his viewpoints, despite the fact that when you take a 2-second look into this guy's life, he had pro-communist profile pictures on his social media accounts. He also wrote anti-ICE on one of the unspent cartridges he left behind at the shooting. Yeah, I guess we'll never know what this guy was thinking when he was trying to do this act. And as you can see, anti-ICE was written here, which, ironically enough, was the name of a benefit from a few months ago that, as you can see, among the panelists, number one on there is Hasan Piker, which I think is very, very ironic. And to make things even more ironic, here is a small snippet of what he said at that benefit.
874 Bellevue Drive, and I'm gonna kill you with my AR-15. Like, that's the type of messages they were leaving in this dude's office, and he's resigning. So I think that people are a lot more radical now. This is an unprecedented time to really get others on board, to explain to them that it's not your neighbors, it's not like a Guatemalan migrant that is responsible for all the shit that you're going through on a daily basis.
You know, it's your neighbors, your bosses are fucking you over, town owners are fucking you over.
And I think this is a unique opportunity. You get even Deborah's and Barbara's on board with that, like White Wymons. And you actually wrote about this, and it was a great video where you talked about, you know, someone has to do it. See, when I say that, everyone knows exactly what I mean. I think that shows that there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and untapped revolutionary potential, as a matter of fact. And it's a great opportunity for organizing, I think, in these unprecedentedly horrible times.
Yeah, this is the guy who recently has been really hammering away that he's so against political violence of all forms, but then again, his actions completely defy him, and that's just one of many, many different examples, and it's just crazy to be someone like this who has so many examples of violent rhetoric and also, you know, participating in a benefit that literally is called anti-ICE. It's just very ironic to see, and well, as I pointed out earlier, places like the New York Post and many other individuals are trying to make a connection between the shooters playing of violent video games to the actions he took at the ICE facility. And I think this is just, again, so pathetic. This has been something people have been trying for decades, and it's going to fail just like all the previous ones. There is no evidence to support that. In fact, if you want evidence that it doesn't impact real life, look at this guy's Steam account. He played, 7,000 hours on Rust, and he couldn't hit a single target. That alone is proof that video games do not influence violent actions in real life. But of course, this would get hit with a note, which is awesome. everything like this should get hit with a note with plenty of sources that probably don't surprise you with their messages, where they're saying there's absolutely no proof of a connection between violent video games and committing violence in real life. In fact, they point out in this article that the US Supreme Court addressed this and came to the conclusion back in 2011 that no psychological study making the claim that violent video games cause violence in real life had any evidence to back up those claims. And as always, the people who are affected by the media that they consume, whether it's video games, movies, whatever, the people get affected by that are mentally ill. It's really that simple, but people try to twist this into something to push their own agenda. And here's just one last little graph that really just makes it very clear, comparing video game revenue to violent gun deaths. Now, of course, it's not so black and white. It has to do with like availability of guns as well. But as you can see, places like South Korea versus the US. I mean, yeah, the claim about violent video games causing violence in real life is just, it's so tiresome and ridiculous. But things are continuing to escalate because in wake of the recent shooting on the ICE facility, people are now protesting and going to ICE facilities and causing more issues. And it's been made very clear that this is going to be a zero tolerance policy from our government, and that there are going to be federal agents and troops going to facilities around the country. And it's going to make things a lot more, let's just say, interesting. And people are losing their minds. This was from just yesterday. This is a bunch of rioters blocking ICE agents as they're trying to go outside of their facility. Every single one of these people should be arrested. I mean, like, what are we doing? Am I missing something? Trying to interfere with a federal agent pushing their car? Very, very crazy stuff. And it gets even worse when you start diving into some of the people who are doing this. This guy, I really, for his sake, hope it's parody, released a video saying he applied to become an ICE agent with the sort of intention of feeding the information he sees at work to migrants.
What's up, guys? I just applied to be an ICE agent, and my plan is that any information I get on ICE raids, I'm going to report back to the Mexican community and, you know, just try to help you guys out. Also, every time a Mexican gets deported, I'm sneaking 2 Mexicans back into the United States. I'm just here to help. That's my plan. I will update you guys along the way. Thank you.
People are really just filming themselves doing just about anything these days, and it's really, again, I hope this guy's joking, because what he just expressed might have been a felony just from the application process itself, but if he does actually follow through on this somehow, that is a whole lot of felonies he is racking up in his attempts to virtue signal on the internet. Like, this guy sounds like the biggest white savior you'll ever see in your life. But this reflects generally the insanity we've seen over the past couple of months. As you can see pointed out here, the number of assaults on ICE officers has exceeded 1,000%. They have gone up 1,000% in the last couple of months because people think it's okay to do these things because they're not facing punishment, or they're seeing people spread violent rhetoric to them and encouraging them to do these things. There is real effects to people spreading violent rhetoric on the internet. And of course, well, someone's out there to basically tone down what's going on and to downplay what's happening over the past couple of months.
To just give some receipts for what you're saying. So there have been 9 notable anti-ICE or anti-CBP attacks, acts of violence during President Trump's second term. And just last week, violent protests, and this is the video after the scroll that I wanted to show. Just last week, violent protests broke out at an Illinois.
Look at this. Look at this. They're like, oh, violent incidents, okay? And some of them are violent. And then others are literally just like attacks by rocks and sticks. That's crazy.
Yeah, during the various ICE protests that were happening back in the summer when there was big raids going on in California, there were a lot of these protests, and a lot of them had people throwing rocks and cinder blocks at cars. And Hasan should know. He was there. He was in the road, which is a crime, by the way. He was there, and now he's trying to downplay some of the action, saying, oh, they were just throwing rocks and sticks. There were hundreds of protesters throwing head-sized rocks, even cinder blocks and bricks, at ICE agents, whether it's in their cars or while they're trying to do their job. I'm sorry, throwing a brick at someone's head or their car, that's a pretty big deal. That can kill someone. And he's just like, yeah, they threw some rocks and sticks, like, you know, like a little tree branch or something. No. People were going absolutely insane. He's trying to downplay the violence. And yeah, it's only going to get worse from here. And he's also, of course, making himself the ultimate victim. He's, I guess, getting a little nervous. He's saying that he's going to end up in a camp. And also, it's going to be the Democrats' fault. So he's basically saying it's everyone's fault at this point.
Reason why, even though Donald Trump is very unpopular, the Democrats are even less popular is because of this reality. They've like shied away from addressing any of the needs of their fucking base or anyone that's in the margins, by the way, which is a much larger percentage anyway. It's a plurality. Oh. We're all going to go to fucking concentration camps, and the Democrats are going to be like, well, it wouldn't have happened if you voted for us harder.
I think I know another reason why Hasan's getting a little bit nervous. Recently, there was an executive order signed by Donald Trump that designated Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, and he is now on a mission to dismantle Antifa, including providing troops to do so. And Hasan's reaction to this is very interesting. What did he mean by this? So he finds out that Antifa is now designated as a domestic terrorist organization, and he says, I don't think the liberal media is aware of how bad things will get for all of us? Why did you hear that news and get really nervous? Because a normal person doesn't hear this and go, uh-oh, this is going to get real bad for us. Well, then again, he also has an affinity for Antifa, a violent organization, now a domestic terrorist organization. A couple years ago, arguing with a now suspended account saying, homie, I did a 3-hour broadcast on why Antifa is extremely good. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. Ooh, is anyone surprised? And the replies to this are hilarious. Yeah, this is not a very good look. And also, things are escalating, and it's going to be a very interesting couple of days and weeks. Like I said, troops are being sent out to protect ICE facilities, including those in Portland, which is like the Antifa headquarters. That place is an absolute mess, by the way. I have no idea how things got that bad in that city for years now, but there's going to be troops already... Actually, there are troops already rolling into the city. But you can see the trickle-down of all of this. You know, it begins with something as brazen and disgusting as the shooting, and then you have reactions all across the board, people trying to blame gaming on the violence, and then you see content creators giving their spin, and it just really shows a lot of the hypocrisy of people trying to shift blame or try to even just outright lie about motives and things to protect their own agenda. It's going to be, like I said, a very interesting time, and I think there's going to be a lot of finding out for people who have been evading consequences and been doing things that are crazy and breaking the law because they've been encouraged to do so online. They've been surrounded by radicals online, and they never fear consequences. Well, let's see what happens in the future here. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.